to this tutorial for the Dahlia Stitch. This tutorial was created for the Garden Variety Mystery Knit Along. This is used in Clue 2. If you need more information on the pattern, you can find the links below. Right here you can see that I have created some dahlias. So this is a stitch pattern that creates little eyelet holes, and elongated stitches create this dahlia pattern. Now it's used over a solid color and creates a really lovely effect when you have a whole bunch of them, which is what we're going to be doing. So this is not terribly difficult to work, but I figured that a video would help to ensure that you're doing it correctly. So what I'm going to do, first of all, on this one, I'm just starting out with my beginning stitches. You followed the pattern according to yours. And I'm at the point where the instructions say to work the dahlia. So what I'm going to be doing is going into the second row down below the second stitch on the needles. So here's my first stitch, here's my second stitch. This is the first row below it, and here's the second row below it. So this hole right here, 2 stitches over, 2 stitches down, is where I'm going to be creating my eyelet hole. So I stick my needle through there, and I'm actually going to be knitting a stitch. So I scoop up the yarn, pull it through. Now right now it's a very small stitch, and since it's going up 2 rows, I need to make it a little bit longer. So I stretch it out just like that, and that is the first part of the dahlia stitch. I knit 2 more, and now I'm on the stitch that has that eyelet hole right below it. So I'm going to pull up another loop. Now this loop won't be quite as long because it's going directly down, but I'm going into that same hole and scooping up the knit stitch so that now I have 4 dahlia stitches on the needle. And again, you want to pull it a little bit longer just because it is going up 2 rows. Next, I'm going to knit 2 more stitches, and now go into the same hole as the other 2. Now this is the hardest part of the pattern, so I'm going to show you what I do. So with this finger, I'm holding on to these stitches. If you're an English style knitter, you might have to adjust this. You go into that hole. Again, I'm holding onto these stitches so that they don't get lost. I scoop up another loop, and I pull it through, and I make it a little bit longer. So right now, for my dahlia stitches, I've got 1 long stitch, 2 knit stitches, another long stitch, 2 knit stitches, and a final long stitch. And this is how I knit my dahlia. And there's going to be a little bit more that we do on the wrong side. So I'm going to work my way over to that. In between the dahlias, I'm knitting 4 stitches. So let me show you one more time. Here we are, and if you are on a subsequent row of the dahlias, you'll want to be sure that they're going to be lining up. So this I've done 1 full row of dahlias, 2 full rows of dahlias, and I'm on my 3rd row. And so this is working out to be in between the second row of dahlias, which are right here, and then it's right directly above the first row of dahlias that I did. So I'm going into the hole that's directly above that eyelet hole. And that's just a way to check up and make sure that you are on track with the pattern, that you didn't miss any increases or miscount anything. So I'm going into 1, 2 stitches over and 1, 2 stitches down. I go into that hole, pull up a long stitch, knit 2, going to go in there again, holding on with my finger to keep those stitches on the needles, pull up another long stitch, knit 2 more, and now I do the longest one, or the hardest one, pulling it through like that. And I've got 2, 4, 6, 7 stitches right there. Okay, I'm going to work my way over 4 more stitches knit to my next dahlia space. And make sure that it's right above the first row of dahlias. It is. And now I'm going to show you a different method. So with testing this wrap, several of my testers used other methods that might be helpful for your knitting style. So I want to show that to you. So I'm going over 2 stitches, and then I'm going into the stitch 2 rows down. But this time, I'm actually going to use a tiny crochet hook and pull up that loop. So I can reach in, pull up the loop, put that loop onto my needles, and it's all good to go. I knit 2. I can use my crochet hook again, or what one other knitter did was she said she used her left needle to go in. And this may be easier, for example, for English style knitters. I'm a continental knitter. So I scoop that up. I've got my next one, and this last stitch, this is the one where it might really help to either go in with your left needle or to use the crochet hook. So I'm going to use the crochet hook method one more time, going into there, pulling up a nice long loop. It's a little finicky with all the needles and hooks. Okay, and I've got my 2, 4, 6, 7 stitches for my dahlias. I'm going to work to the end of the row, and I will turn it around, excuse me, to show you the back. Now, when you're working the back side of the dahlia stitch, it does seem to be a little bit uneven. You'll notice that you have 1 extra stitch on when working the right side on the Garden Variety wrap. You will have 1 extra stitch on the left-hand side of your wrap, and that is due to the way that we're going to be purling these. But once we're finished, you will see that they look symmetrical. All right, so I'm going to knit 2, purl 4. You will, of course, be purling whatever is on your pattern. And I am up to my dahlia stitches. So what I need to do first is, let me make sure these are separated. There we go. I'm going to be purling the first 2 together, and they're kind of like stuck together right here, and you can see they kind of got stuck to the 3rd stitch also. So I just straighten those out, but these first 2 I'm going to purl together. I purl 1, purl 2 together, purl 1, and then the final stitch of the dahlias gets purled together with one of the regular knit stitches over here. So those are purled together. I'm going to flip that over. So right now this is the wrong side. This is how the wrong side looks. And on the right side you will see your dahlia right where it's supposed to be. And you should have these stitches should be looped around in this direction. So you need to make sure that you don't have any twisted stitches with your dahlias. Okay, I'll show you again. We're purling to the next set of dahlia stitches. Okay, these are all lined up. You can see they kind of scrunch themselves together. We're going to be purling the first 2 together. They're already squished together right there. So purl 2 together, purl 2 together, purl 1, purl 2 together, purl 1. And now I have the final dahlia stitch. I'm purling that together with the with one of those plain stockinette stitches over here. All right, I'm going to go to my final dahlia stitch. Let me just get a little bit more yarn. There we go. I come to my dahlia stitches. I purl the first 2 together, and again they're stuck onto that 3rd one, so I'm just going to separate that a little bit. So I purl 2 together, purl 1, purl 2 together, purl 1, purl together these next 2. I purl 1, and to end my swatch, I've got 2 knit stitches. There we go. So there I have my row of dahlia stitches. And it's going to create this really lovely garden of dahlias, all on a solid color. You'll get to see these beautiful eyelets once it's been blocked, and you will have a really nice feature added to your wrap. So again, this is a tutorial for the dahlias that are used in the Garden Variety Mystery Knit Along. I'll link the pattern below. It's available both on Ravelry and on my Paper Daisy Creations website. My name is Lisa Ross, and thanks for joining me.